Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to Quickbooks Labs. Quickbooks Labs is your one and only place for QuickBooks content podcast, designed to be the place to learn all about the world of QuickBooks and other accounting software. On the first Wednesday of each month, or sometimes it's the second Wednesday, as it is today, then you get to go. We can hang around these microphones, talk all about the latest news, tips, and tricks about QuickBooks Online. So I am one of your hosts. I'm Patrick, a chartered accountant, a certified QuickBooks trainer, and also owner of an accounting firm called Boffix, and also have a QuickBooks channel called YouTube. So with me as my co-host always, Ash. Ash, how's it going?
Fantastic, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, so my name is Ash Beetson, QuickBooks trainer / bookkeeper / accountant / app developer, author, jack of all trades, master of none of them at all. Did I just hear you say you own a YouTube? You own YouTube, Aaron? It sounded. That's what I'm sure it is. You're the QuickBooks chap on YouTube. Just in case anyone thought that Aaron had all of a sudden become a billionaire since our last podcast. He doesn't own YouTube.
Yeah, I think Google might have something to say about that. I suppose you're right. Yeah. Brilliant. All right. Okay. So today we have an absolute cracker installed for you. Got some great little topics to go over. But first of all, let's go through all the T's and C's and everything else that goes with it. So first of all, we are live to the world at a regular time of 4:30, 10:30 US time. I think that's still right. So if you listen to this back at a later time, then why not think about joining us live as we've got in the panel so far. So they get the chance to ask some questions and keep us honest and make sure that we answer as accordingly. Ash, what's the agenda for today's show?
Lots of little bits that we can take a look at. Left-hand navigation is live. There's a new transfer option, default categories against suppliers, just in case you might have missed those. There's a little bit of a bug within the client request feature. Recertification is on the way. You can now create your statutory accounts from QuickBooks Online. There's a new networking feature within QuickBooks Online, which is when you raise invoices, and Aaron's going to be talking us all through this. And you've got a new eBay connector feature on the way in the US at the moment. Not sure that's coming across to us yet.
Interesting, isn't it? It's actually quite nice to have some bits to talk about, isn't it? I mean, I know we had QuickBooks Connect last time and that was good to talk about, but yeah, we've actually bits to get could be little mitts on, which is good, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Definitely. All right, let's start straight away then with this left-hand navigation and what that means. So we've talked about it. We've kind of gone over what that means. We've kind of brought it into play a little bit, but now we get to actually have a play around with it as it's now gone fully live. As we were talking pre-show beforehand, it definitely seems that it's not come live on any kind of quote-unquote live clients you already have. But if you're going to create a brand new client, then you will have the option to play around with it. And if you go in that sample company at all, you'll see that there's an option to see it there as well. So let me bring it up on screen for us. It should be coming through. Not on that one. Give me a second. On that one. Fingers crossed. It's coming through. Oh no, I have permission issues. Give me a second. Let me share it on it. I've got a better idea. Let me share it to this screen here. And can you see that screen? You can't see that screen, can you?
No, nothing's coming up at the moment, Aaron.
Oh, this could be fun. Let me go, and I might have to jump off and come back in again at this rate. Is there any chance you can share the sample company?
We're going to log into the sample company, Aaron, and
yeah. Wow, I might just need to. It says I've got to restart Chrome, which I'm trying not to do.
Get myself in there. While that's loading up, let me see if I can share my screen.
But we have talked about it plenty of times, haven't we? We know what to expect. It's just nice to have a play around with it. There's a few kind of features in there which are quite cool. There's an opportunity for us to go in there and bookmark transactions. I can see it's just come up on screen now. There we are.
Yeah, so if anyone likes to dabble with the sample company, so you can get there. If you're an accountant, you'd be able to go in there from your gear icon from your accountant's menu, and you'll have options to go into the sample company there. If you're not an accountant and or don't have an accountant account, then you can go to tinyurl.com/UKQB demo. And if you are into this a sample company, I'm just going to go to the gear icon, and I can choose this option to switch to business view. So currently I'm in an accountant view. Now, if I choose to switch to the business view, my options down the left-hand side are going to change slightly. Just gives us a second or two while this refreshes. So you can see my menus down the left have changed considerably. So what I would normally have at the top would be sort of a dashboard, and then banking and customers, supply or expenses. It's changed quite a bit. So what we can do when you go into any of these sort of menus from the left, you see the three little dots just to the right of those. You'll be able to customize that menu, which means you can basically bookmark it and put it to your to this lower section, or you can just go straight into add a bookmark, and then you can choose any one of these preferred shortcuts if you like. So if you use invoices a lot, you might want to put that in there, and then bank transactions. So if I just save those two, I've now got invoices and bank transactions as my shortcut. So it's pretty neat, I think. And this is, as far as I'm aware, Aaron, it's user specific as well. So you can have 3 or 4 users of the same company, but they could all have different menu options down the left-hand side.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern about this view, I think that, you know, the way it looks, I think there's some really good features in there, isn't there? It definitely, if you think about it from a user point of view and you were first using QuickBooks Online, there's definitely some bits on here that's really useful, isn't there? Like, probably does make a little bit more sense. But I think my only concern of it is certain places that new items have gone to. So if you go on there to bookkeeping,
yeah,
and you click into that one there, the fact that now reconciles under experts, I don't know. What do you feel about that? It almost feels like the client shouldn't be reconciling.
Yeah, it's a strange. I must admit, because I've not been in that deep into here yet, because it's not live on any of my clients. It's a strange terminology, isn't it? Really,
It is.
To have experts. Experts, yes, to maybe contact your accountant, but yeah, that is an odd one. So, yeah. I don't know what to say on that one. I'm a little bit stumped.
Because it could, if you were like brand new to the software, you'd almost think like, oh, I best stay away from reconcile because that's not. Do you know what I mean? That's quite an advanced feature. I should stay away from that. Whereas really, we want to be encouraging our clients to be using it all the time, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got. I think that when I looked at this the other day, because we've got bookmarked this page and then customize the menu. See, customizing it is exactly the same as bookmarking.
It is, yeah.
And I'm not sure why there's actually. Well, I guess if we choose the option to bookmark, it will just go directly to bookmark. Whereas, yeah, you can then choose the other customized menu and select from within there. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure on the purpose of both of those within the same place, to be honest. But I can sort of see maybe why they've done that. But
yeah, I mean, the idea of customizing the menu, I don't think you can, but yeah, no. In fact, I know you can't. But it would be nice if you could create that customized menu as you could dictate the order at which they appeared in that bookkeeping. Because if you go now, it's, I don't know if it's alphabetical order, but if you go to customize this menu, it's
Yeah,
already
I'm just
set.
trying. I was just trying to work out how I get myself back to that menu. Yeah, so I can see my rules have appeared there. Yeah, that what I tried to do the other day is sort of drag and drop these around, and you can't do it.
Be
The only
nice,
thing
wouldn't it?
that I found is that if you wanted to change the order of this, would be basically to remove them all and then put them back in the order that you wanted. So if I wanted bank transactions to go first, so I could customize this menu and take these ones out. So I could add the bookmark and put in bank transactions. Where did I see it? Bank transactions. So I probably save that. Now, if I add another one, invoices, it will then come underneath. So it seems to be whatever is the order in which we put them is the order.
Is that the case though? Because if you now add apps, which was the top of that list, doesn't apps go to the top of it? So bring up that customization page again.
Yeah. So I'm pretty well. I don't think so. I think it will just go underneath. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's good.
So they seem to be added in the order in which you put them in, which is great. But ideally, if you've got like 10 in there and you think, well, actually, no, I wish that one was up a bit. The only way you can do it is by taking them all out and then putting them back in again.
But what this does give you a chance to do in workflows for clients, isn't it? So you could put it in there that, oh, if you could just go down this list for me. So do the bank transaction first, then into invoices, then check your apps like you've got on that screen. That could be quite a nice little use case, right? Couldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's a good point. And hopefully, I don't know how many menus will fit within there. I mean, what'd you say? I don't know, 10? You shouldn't really need many more than 10, I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah. So the other slight downside to this one is that as an accountant, we can't use it because there's certain views we don't get now. As an example, overview's not there and performance center's not there either. So
unless we switch back to the accountant view.
Which is fine because this is designed for the client, isn't it? So that's what that's for. So we can understand why it's there or why it's not there, but that's just something to remember really if you are using this. But what view do you think you're going to be doing going forward? You can stick to your accountant view or go to the business view?
I'll probably just stick with what I'm using. I mean, I don't do that much sort of consultation work now with clients because I've got my app that I concentrate on. But I think that should I sort of do whatever help someone, then I would recommend that they use this.
Yeah.
So that they get it, they can lay it out, as they would prefer. Because we all know all businesses are different, and some will only want 3 or 4 options in a menu, and they'll have them all there, easy for them to get to, and not have to worry which ones they need to use. So I think that's great.
Yeah, definitely. And like I've been training people on this one now, so I've had a couple of consultations with clients who they're America, so they I think they moved over maybe a couple of months ago now. And at first it was really jarring for me to kind of be like, can you go here? And you're a bit apprehensive about it because it's almost like you're losing credibility because you don't even know where the report section is, for example, because now reports is all the way at the top when we're used to it to be at the bottom, so for example.
Yeah.
But once you got used to it from a client's point of view, you can definitely see the thinking. It's so much more intuitive for them. And that's the whole point of this, isn't it? Is to make it easier for them to use. So I do like it. I'm just trying my best to try and figure out like almost understand both of them just so I can jump in quickly and use either or.
Yeah. I think the next step should be renaming these. But will anyone know where to go if someone's renamed it something completely different?
That's your problem, isn't it?
That's probably what somebody calls a bill, and we call it someone else will call it a purchase invoice, and you're looking for bills and you can't find.
Yeah, maybe that push a bit too
Yeah,
far.
so perhaps they won't allow the renaming because the confusion when you try to help someone could be quite difficult. Oh, I'll
Yeah.
stop sharing my screen.
And then just a quick one on that one. In the American one, the most confusing thing out of all is they have well, they don't call it bookkeeping, they call it live bookkeeping because they got that extra feature of the live bookkeeping module. And then they have bank on your left hand panel, so it comes just below business overview and it says bank. And for me, like, my first thing was, all the banking information must be in there. Nope, that's your actual, QuickBooks Bank area. That's what that's designed to be. So, yeah, that obviously will come, well, may possibly come to the UK at some point when we get that whole QuickBooks Bank operational. But that is really, really confusing when it does come.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice one. All right, awesome. What's next on the agenda?
I think the next one we've got to talk about is the new transfer.
Oh, of course. Now, fingers crossed, we are sharing screens. No problem whatsoever now. Yes. All right, awesome. Okay, so it's all down to this little area here. So can you see this new bit here saying paired to another transaction? Is that coming through clearly?
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, so what's happened here is we've got a bank transfer in a whole new way and a whole new UI that's been dealt with it. So if you remember how bank transfers originally worked or how they're working currently, if you've not got the update, then what will happen is that you will go to record a transfer, you will then post it into record a transfer, then you have to go back into the other transaction, and then you're hoping that it matches and you can match it and you don't have any duplications. Because the biggest problem about transfers is if you don't do it correctly, you can put them both into them, duplicate it up, and it causes a right mess when it comes to reconciling your bank. And like, I would say one of the one of the reasons why people get their bank unreconciled and out of sync is transfers. It's one of the highest ones, isn't it, Ash, that causes people problems?
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
Yeah. So the idea of this is to try and simplify that as much as possible, and it's the idea that we're still in the full review section, so we've not added anything at this point, but it's looking in this full review for this bank account, and if I jump into the other bank account, it's looking at that one as well, although it's just flipped over. If I put it back to record as transfer, it's looking at that one as well, and it's trying to match the two transactions. And the idea is if I record this as a transfer now and add this, then it's going to put them both in at the same time. It's paired the transaction for you so that they're there. So if I'll keep this one because there's only one transaction on there. Let's go back to the other one, and I go in it and I press the add button just here, or record transfer. Both will give me the same result. And I go back to my other one, you'll notice that that transaction has been added also.
Yeah.
So the extra bit is that adding of the transaction as well. What do you think of that, Ash?
Yeah, no, that is great because that I have come across that a lot with the company that I help. If the bookkeeper doesn't fully understand, what's gone on, or if there's been, they might have uploaded the transactions one day and then there's been some sort of timing issue between doing them, and it's, even though they should perfectly match, they have often just gone in and added something again. And it's like you say, there's always been there's one transaction that has to be undone to reconcile it again because it's all gone out of kilter.
Yeah. I think it needed a long. It's always needed an overhaul, hasn't it? The whole transferring system. I think in principle it works, and like for me and you, when we've gone through it properly, and we get the process to complete it, then actually it's not the end of the world, is it? We can get through it and we do it. But as you've just said there, when people aren't 100% sure of how to do a transfer and the impact of it and everything else, that's where we're getting issues. The only one slight problem we have on this one is just like as we have in the current issue, unless you say record as transfer. So if QuickBooks is thinking that this isn't a transfer and it hasn't automatically put that record as transfer option there,
yeah,
it doesn't come up with your new functionality. And there's no way, unless there's no way of us making that like from a rule point of view, we can't put the rule to just record as transfer. It doesn't quite have that effect, does it? Not auto add, at least. It won't do it.
Yeah. So people can still trip up a little bit if they don't look at things properly.
Yeah, if they don't use, because when it comes to QuickBooks Learning and QuickBooks Understanding what to do, and this is the learning process it does. I don't know if it's just on this particular kind of client or the ones I've been dealing with, but it doesn't always remember to record as transfer. If we've chosen record as transfer, it doesn't seem to remember that if we undo it or if another transaction comes in. So that's probably something just to keep an eye on. It doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think it ever. I think it always defaults to categorize. Thinking about it, Aaron, is that when the one company that I help a lot, they have a lot of transfers between intercompanies. And every single time I have to hit transfer, because I want to transfer, because I don't want the VAT to, boxes to appear. So that is always going to be the box that I use.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Perhaps we could create a rule in some instances, probably not an automated one. Maybe if we create just a rule without the auto add, at least it might ping it into that box,
into this view for you at least, so that then you can pair it. Yeah, no, definitely. And I don't know if this is new or if it's just something I've just never spotted, but if I do add the transaction and go and view the transaction, the nice thing is up here it's automatically added your 2 banking matches there as well. I can't remember if it always did that, but that's a nice feature to have.
No, I can't. I think it would only show the one before.
I thought that, yeah. So that works quite nice, I think, and that makes sense. Like, we can't double count now. It's both transactions have been matched to here. Everyone can see how that's worked.
Yeah,
and that's clean and tidy, isn't it?
Yeah. No, that's a nice touch. That is.
There is further news on this as well. If I can just bring it up. Oh, I didn't save it. So if you do some research into this, again, we were talking before we went live. Do some research into this into the American product. They did announce this as a feature coming. In fact, I think I remember where it is actually. Let me bring that one up. But they released it as a feature coming, and they gave us a little tease as to what to expect in the future as well. So if I just press this one and go there, you'll see that they were talking about how this new feature, it's a little bit different, their UI, to what we've got. So again, I don't think it's the same solution. I think it's kind of, we've had our, it looks like they've developed it, or they've updated the UI that they had on this tease here on this post. But they're basically saying very similar to ours, how they're going to have that one record found. You match it, it's going to post both ends. But the interesting bit is all about this bit here. So coming soon, automation. When there's high confidence, QuickBooks Online will automatically match deposit processed by QuickBooks Payments. This could save you up to 2 hours per month. And then there's a flexibility that there'll be the option to turn off auto matching. So I imagine you'll click your little list cog and you'll have the option there to turn that off there. So looks like future's bright for matching by the looks of it.
Yeah, no, cool. Yeah, nice one.
Awesome.
That definitely just makes it a lot easier, a lot slicker.
Yeah, definitely. They're the sort of things that we want. We definitely like to see, don't we, ways in which we can make things easier for ourselves. All right, Ash, what's next on the agenda?
So there's the default expense category against the supplier. I think it's been there in there a little while, but just in case anyone's missed it, it's worth taking a quick butcher's at.
Definitely. Let me bring one up just to show everyone where that is. Get back on screen. So, like Ash has been saying, it was here when the update of the UI came for the new supplier. So, if people remember it and remember seeing this, that when you press new supply now, we're getting this more kind of compact layout, isn't it? It's a much more cleaner UI, isn't it? And it's easier to probably see. It doesn't take up the whole screen, which we liked at the time, and we mentioned when it went live that this is a good quite a nice little addition. But one of the extra bits that come through is this area just here, which gives us an opportunity to choose the default expense category. Now, Ash, why do you think they've introduced this one? Is there any other software company out there that might have this sort of feature that you can think of?
Oh, well, I can't remember. I think I was, I nearly said I was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar, but no, it wasn't that. I was working, I was working for a company. I think it was in 2001, and I was using Sage Desktop, and yeah, there was a default nominal category against the supplier code. So it's been there a little while,
Yeah.
and yeah, we've got it in QuickBooks now, which is handy. So
Yeah.
it's a nice little extra tool. Yeah, I mean, it's not life changing, but it is sort of useful. So if you've got it in there, I suppose if you're not using one of the other automation features that you can have in your company settings, you know, the remember the last bill that you put on for a particular supplier, which would do the same thing anyway. But if you have got that in there, at least you go and create the bill for the supplier. It's going to ping up what it should go on or what it usually goes on under.
Yeah.
So it's handy. It's a good one.
I haven't seen it yet, and I'm pretty sure that it's not the case, but you can't upload this, can you? This isn't part of your ad vendors and ad suppliers. Doesn't give you that option, does it?
In the import list, I don't think so.
No.
It might be worth It might be worth actually at some point having a little test of that. The only reason I say that because I know in our own software, we'd forgotten just to put on the template one of the headings, but actually I was able to go in and import something, and it did it anyway. So it worked. So even though sometimes you don't always see the column that you want, if you sort of know what that field should be, sometimes you can upload it. It's worth a little
nice little hack if we can figure that one out. But yeah, by the looks of it though, that feature's there. And again, it's definitely because of people requesting it from other software, isn't it? But it's good to see. It's good to see that being brought in.
Yeah, no, that's a useful one.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're happy with that one. What's next, Ash?
So it's when we request information from a client. So something isn't quite as the client may expect it.
Yeah, this is an unfortunate one, but this is just how it is. In fact, the easiest thing for me to do is just quickly add a transaction. What month are we in here? We're in March 22. So if I do an expense and I do, it doesn't matter what it is, computer running costs, and let's say it's £100, but we had VAT on it for 20%, and it was March, wasn't it, that I need it in? Put it through from there. In fact, no, I can't put running costs. Let's put categorize, or it's not going to turn up. Categorize expense, save and close. So in this case, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to push it into our accounting review area as it's done here. And what we're going to want to do at this point and talk to our client about this point is we want to ask them a question, and we want to bring this to their attention. So how do we do that? Well, remember, we now have that new Ask Client feature just here. So slickly from this screen, and we love this. This is a great feature, but just be careful, because if I ask my client of this question now, I'm going to press Ask Client. I'm going to say, I've got questions about your categories. I need to know what these transactions are. We're asking for the £100 here, not the 120, not the gross amount. And we found this has caught, in our case, this has caught some clients out, because they're obviously looking through their bank accounts. They're looking for a £100 transaction when it isn't a £100 transaction that it was. It's the 120 because it's the net. Now, I suppose in fairness, uncategorized expense, I suppose I shouldn't have been claiming the VAT on it. So maybe that's the reason for it. But at the same time, I think that people need to realize that this is the net transaction that's going to be asked and not the gross. What do you think, Tash?
Yeah. I mean, if there's a fair point on both of those. Of those, now we know that that is the case. The text that appears at the top, I need to know these transactions. Is that, can we change that default?
We can't change the default, unfortunately, but we can type what we need to type in here.
Right. Yeah. I thought it's a shame that if the a quick fix would have been any values will exclude VAT if it's been entered. So at least if you're advising the client, they think, oh yeah, that's excluding that, as posted from the bank. But yeah, if it is an uncategorized transaction and no one knows what it is and there's no receipt attached, then yeah, there shouldn't be any VAT on it. So maybe a little tip for your bookkeepers out there, when you're coding your uncategorized transactions without a VAT receipt, code it to no VAT. Then you won't go far wrong then when you are sending that request to your client, asking what it's for, because there is no VAT receipt, they'll have the right value.
Exactly right. And in fairness, you can kind of understand why or how this has slipped through, isn't it? Because in America, they wouldn't have this problem. Like, they don't have the net versus gross as such, do they? So, and
I don't know.
do they not?
Yeah, they do have sales tax. I don't know whether it's
Yeah, but they don't have quite purchase tax the same way do we? So
maybe not, doesn't work quite the same.
Their systems don't need to worry about net versus gross, because this isn't the first time that this has happened. So yeah, it's just one of those. I think it's more to be aware of. And also, while we're here, I just thought about it. I don't know if we showed the other end of it, and it's a really slick interface actually, and it real good. Kudos to the way it looks, because if I just show you the client side of it, and I bring it up the right one, I think it's this one, and I show you the My Accountant, and I show you going in for this one. So, oh, it's not come through. Okay, that's a shame. But let's just show you this one here. In fact, let me show you one of the closed one. That might be easier. Oh no, that one there. The actual interface that the client sees is actually quite nice. So I don't know if we showed this last time or not, but this here is the screen they see. So if you think about it, what this is intended for, this is intended for you to be asking a client about a particular transaction. Well, that client may never actually interact with QuickBooks other than to maybe see a report or two or whatever it's going to be. They may never see those transaction pages that we're used to. So what QuickBooks has done is they've generated like a more user-friendly transaction view for it. So I think this is really, really nice, because from a client's point of view, it gives them the information they need, doesn't it? It's, oh, it's this, it's that, it's this information, it's that. Then they press next and it's this, and they can see, why did you make this in this case, I've already answered it, but the questions normally asked there are, what the category was, or have you got any information for it? And it keeps it nice and clean and tidy.
Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, I do like that. So originally they'll receive the email first and then click on the link and then take them to that previous page.
And take them to here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, because you can imagine it, the traditional what's it called? The traditional kind of transaction view. If that just popped up at them, they might be a little bit confused over what they're looking at and what it means and everything else. Here, I think it's presented in quite a nice way for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Awesome. And then you get this nice little, I don't know if we showed you this last time or not, but we get this nice little area here where you can see what's answered, what's not, the comments you might have back and forth with your accountant sort of idea. And then you get the option to look at the documents as well. If you want to upload some documents not relating to this one, you can go in from there. So yeah, it's quite nice. Works quite nice.
So the only thing, if there are multiple, if you've got questions on about like 6 or 7 entries, I suppose they will receive 6 or 7 emails, won't they?
Yes. Yeah. So they can go from there. And this is that transaction we actually sent in. And again, that's just highlighting that it was supposed to be £120 transaction. Yeah. They're being told about 100. So just be aware. Again, I think it is designed because of the fact that we put it through. It's interesting as well here that it's described what you brought and why. It's not. Well, I don't know. Do we want them to pick a category from here for you, or how would you? What information would you want back from a client at this point? Is it right to have like just a box of you fill it in, or would you want them to go through a list and pick a category and say, yeah, that category works?
Yeah, it's a good point. I guess for speed, if you know as the business user, they might not necessarily know what the correct category is anyway. I'll give you an example. I was chatting to a friend of mine last week with his son, and they're on about creating a music school. And they said, "Oh, we might have some vending machines in there, which we'll rent." She goes, "Will we put those under rent?" And I said, "No, they're going to go under equipment rental, because you're going to have rent for your premises, and you'll have equipment rental for anything that you lease and that sort of stuff." Right, I didn't realise there was two different categories for that. So if they just saw rent, or if they didn't know what the differences were, and they might use the wrong category anyway. So it's probably best for them just to say what it is, and it comes back to us, and we'd make sure it goes in the right place.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, because it gives us the chance to make that decision, doesn't it? They've told us what it is, and we'll go from there. Yeah, no, that does make sense. But once you have done, though, it is the idea then that you could then upload the document for it if you need to, put some other comments in, and go from there. So yeah, I think you're right on that.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, cool,
nice, awesome. All right, I love this feature. I think when it was first announced, it's kind of music to our ears a little bit, wasn't it? It was what the work feature should always have been. You remember back in the day when we used to try and force work on this is a great idea, this is how it works. It just makes it easier for us to all kind of work with. So awesome. All right, okay, cool. I've just noticed that we had a comment in from Charlie. Hi, Charlie. Also, Charlie, fantastic video this week with Johan. That was a brilliant video on work papers and bookkeeping review. That was a great video. So yeah, keep up the good work on that one. But yeah, bringing up, does the supply default nominal code work from the bank feed too? So that interacts with the nominal ledger, doesn't it? So if you go in there and say, I don't know, BT should be telephone, for example, and you do it from there. Sorry, that's going to be just the VAT, isn't it? It's just the VAT that goes from the nominal ledger. So if you said your telephone was 20%, that's going to go to your BT to the telephone from there. I don't think it updates it, does it? Because out of all the stuff I've found, I've not seen a single one of those that's actually been generated as a default from there.
Yeah, that's a great question. I see exactly what Charlie's saying. Because if we enter a bill, it goes straight to telecoms. If you enter an expense from the expense screen, it should go straight to telecoms. So from the bank, theory tells me we're creating an expense from the bank feed. So if we put in BT, it should put it in. Whether it does or not, I don't know. I've not managed to test it.
I've never seen it. I've never seen that box have anything in it unless you physically do it. So I don't think the default nominal code area gets updated from anything other than you physically doing it.
Oh no, I think what Charlie means is if we've gone into the supplier, for British Telecom, we put in telecoms, and then we create an entry from the bank feed, and we put in British Telecom.
Sorry,
Does it then think, oh yeah, British Telecom is, should be telephone, because that's what's in the supplier account? Does it do it?
I see exactly what you're saying there. Yeah. I mean,
it should do, but I've not managed to test it myself. So
I'm not sure about that one, but yeah, it should do, shouldn't it? Because sorry, I was thinking it was a way around. You know how you get that pop up saying, "Oh, you keep putting 20% to BT to telephone. So do you want to put that as your default going forward?" Unfortunately, you don't get that, do you? because that would be nice if it, if you kept putting a bill in for this particular supply and it was always rent, for example, and let's set the default to rent going forward. That makes sense, doesn't it? But no, it doesn't seem to have that two-way connection. But as Charlie said there, no. One to test, I think that's definitely something we can test and bring in. Ash, what's next on the agenda?
Recertification, I believe.
Yes, big news. So have you got the dates there, Ash? Do you want to go through and talk about this one, and I'll jump in while I'm actually figuring out if Charlie's theory is right or not.
So I do believe that the recertification sort of webinars, I don't have an exact date for those, should kick in towards the end of this month. But with the examination for recertification being open between the 4th of May and Star Wars Day, May the 4th, and the 30th of June. So it's usually like an 8-week window to get your recertification completed in that time. Unfortunately, I won't be able to help do any of the courses because I'm gallivanting around the place and moving house and doing lots of things. So I'm up to my neck in stuff. But
adult stuff.
Yeah.
Being an adult.
You'll be well in there, Aaron, I'm sure. Getting those courses ready.
Yeah, it's one of the things I think this year that made me chuckle was that, I don't know if you remember last year, but the actual recertification came on a bank holiday. I think it fell, but they decided to change it this year because when they went to check to make sure everything was working, and they woke up early to do the checks and everything, they went in there and they were like, "Oh, we've already had a submission," and that was me. So they thought I don't have to be there on bank holiday work to go in and get my first submission in this year. So yeah, no, I thought it was pretty funny that they've decided to change it from bank holiday Monday or bring it forward, which is nice. But it's this time round though, it's going to be exactly the same as previous year in terms of we're going to be looking back and looking at the functionality. And I think at first we were a bit hesitant, maybe that maybe possibly that there was going to be a that there wasn't going to be enough content to cover. But actually, when you look back at the year, there's been a lot of content, but there's just been smaller like increments that's come through and not that big. Because I think if you think back to the previous year, we had those big areas like cash flow forecasting, and the year before projects and all this and the other. We've not had a new like major feature, but there's been enough extra increments that have kind of given us enough to talk about, which is good to see.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, so the year before we had the receipt snap as well, didn't we?
Exactly. Yeah,
a major tool with us that we went through in recertification. But yeah, with the other things that we've got, your month-end review and your bookkeeping review, your working papers, and all the other things that are useful for accountants, then they should know how to use those tools.
Yes. Yeah. No, I look. I think it'll be a good recertification this year, and it's always good to kind of look back and look at all those features. And like we do here, there's always times when we kind of miss this, even when we've been going through and looking at the past year, we're like, oh yeah, that did drop, and yeah, that sort of thing. So it is useful in that one. Quick live test of Charlie's. That's the wrong one. Let's bring on the other one. Quick live test of Charlie's theory, just to see if it does work or doesn't work. I've just quickly added Amazon to be office expenses. So in theory, if I now jump into the bank screen, on screen now, then the idea would be if I choose, say, this one, and I select the customer to be Amazon, we should move from light and heat to... It didn't work. Oh, that's a shame. But that's what we were expecting, wasn't it? We were expecting that to move to office expenses.
So there's one thing you can't always guarantee. Oh, that's not a sample company, though, is it? That's your...
I've just added.
One of your live companies.
Yeah, so if I jump in and go to the edit Amazon, I've just put Office Admin as the default for that one. So.
Yeah, but if you create a bill, can you just for
this doesn't work?
Curiosity,
Brilliant.
Is that remembering your setting from your other preferred options?
It must have done. So I've got here, yeah, my last one there from Amazon, I bet was computer running costs. So maybe
one override. If you turn that other feature off, just for our own curiosity, let's see if it will affect the bill and maybe the bank thing as well. Because perhaps it gets a bit confused. I don't know what to do.
Good idea.
I don't know whether to
thinking.
do what it says in the other setting or in this one.
Right, click Amazon. Office admin. Okay.
Admin, yeah.
Okay, so we have to turn that feature. That's good to know.
We can tick that one off.
Yeah. And then if I jump into my banking area and let's choose BG services, will be fine. Let's put that to Amazon. It won't do it that way. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, I suppose the nice thing is you got rules here, haven't you? So not necessarily the most important thing that happens there, but yeah.
But I think it's a very good point that Charlie brought up, because really, if you've set that as a default, and I'm nitpicking, but if I've set that as a default, I don't expect it to come in there as a default.
Definitely 100%.
So just a note to Intuit, perhaps we need to just let them know. Perhaps we need to let Katie know.
And we know they listen, so heed our warning.
Don't just do it in one place. Make sure it's in the other place.
Fantastic. All right, I've when I had to go in, I've lost private chat completely. So what's next on the agenda, Ash?
All right, so over statutory accounts.
Oh yes. Now, again, apologies if we've gone through this before, but being Ash were talking about it, I don't think we ever looked at it in any detail. But as part of the books to tax feature, I keep getting it mixed up, keep getting it the wrong way around. But part of that is that the idea of moving or generating a corporation tax return within QuickBooks Online is that they want to be utilizing work papers to do basically all of the let's convert from management accounts to statutory accounts and go from there, which makes sense. That's what it's designed for. Works really well. And part and parcel of that is their statutory accounts tool. So if I've gone through my work papers, I put my documents in, I put my review and adjust in there. I've then got to the figures that I'm now ready to file to Companies House. I can generate statutory accounts directly from here. Now, we can't file them yet, but the idea would be that this is what will get filed at some point. But if I just press run report down here, I do have the option for statutory accounts just there. Now, if I click on statutory accounts, it's going to generate those accounts. And I'm going to move my screen around, aren't I? Share. It generates these. And from here, you can add your logo just here by deleting that and putting your own logo in. It's come up with a name, QB Labs, for me. So that's good. It says it's micro entity, but more on that in a moment. Then we've got contents page, officers, director's report for you to fill in these little bits here and the director name. Accountant's report, where you fill in these bits here. Income statement, balance sheet, those financial reports, and a lead sheet schedule. Ash, what do you think to these statutory accounts?
I suppose I've got to say I don't really need this sort of thing as much these days myself. This is an accountant only tool, isn't it? So the end users don't get it. So no. I think it's a nice touch. What I would say is that I think it would, it needs if it was to be used, it would need a lot more work doing to it.
Yeah.
Because if I'm looking at what I've used in the past for creating, accounts and tax returns, like Iris, even VT, before that, when I worked in a practice, I had VT accounts editor. Then we moved over to Iris when I worked in a practice, and I've used Tax Filer. And the functionality and the default settings, and Aaron, you've used all these tools, is that, you make sure all of these things are in place. And then when you actually hit like prepare accounts, there's loads of warnings that pop up in place if things aren't quite as they are. You retained earnings doesn't balance. And there is so much that I would just be very careful if I was into it and I was releasing any of this stuff, if it was not absolutely spot bang on and does some, I don't know. I'm just a little bit, you've got to be very careful, I think, that you've got a fantastic bookkeeping program. It really works really, really well. It does absolutely everything you want to do, reconciles the bank, what you need in terms of, great bookkeeping functionality. When you're moving into this accounts preparation functionality, when there are so many accounting software providers that do this exceptionally well, I just wonder, I don't know. I'm just sort of thinking out loud a little bit, but I think, is it good as a draft? Because you can do something very quickly and just get a draft set of accounts. This is what it looks like, and if you're happy with that, But in terms of having things that are going to be ready to submit to corporation tax and HMRC, I think it will need a lot of additional functionality embedded in. I don't know how far they're going to go with that. And it also depends on, and this will then, depend on the user. So you're going to get some users, if you've got a firm which has got quite a few people in it, you're going to have different levels of knowledge and different, of experience of, creating a set of accounts, creating a tax return. Some of these software packages, you don't need as much knowledge as others, because literally you can put in the boxes, roughly what you think should go in there. But if you've done something slightly wrong, the software is pretty much going to correct you.
Yeah. Or in some cases, add the note you need.
Yeah, exactly. You've not put, you've missed the director's loan note off or something. And I don't know, these things are, for me, if I was still doing accounting, are vitally important. And also, if I'm doing accounting on my own and I don't have the backup of a large team, and I'm sort of, you sort of think, I'm not quite sure whether that's right or wrong, and I don't have someone else to talk to, but I am really confident that the software is doing that accounts and tax return exactly as it should be, then I'm happier. So yeah, I think it's a good start. And I hate to sort of like dumb down these things, but I am, slightly, skeptical on, what comes next without a lot more input. I don't know.
Yeah. But you're right, aren't you? I mean, we've talked about it before, about how the whole QuickBooks books to tax option is a good thing. Like, I'm all for it. I think it's a good idea to have that option to have an end-to-end solution. Is it going to replace it for every practice out there? No, it never will do, will it? Some practices will always opt to have another solution that can connect to all their accounting solutions, and we've had that discussion before. But I think for this to work and for this to take off at all, there has to be a better way of generating these accounts, hasn't it? There's got to be a way that, a checkbox here, a tick box here, so that when I press that generate button, I shouldn't have to make any adjustments to this piece of paper or this document that's here. Yeah. Because if I am, I'm at risk then, aren't I? Because maybe I'll remember to do it the first time, but what if there's a small adjustment to make and I adjust it for the client, do it, I do all my adjustments and I forget to do one little bit. That to me is way too much risk for me to ever be able to use this solution, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'm always I get slightly anxious when something like sets of accounts
Yeah.
ends up in Excel,
Yeah.
because going back to the days when I used to, and did you ever use VT transactions or
Yeah.
VT
Yeah.
accounts?
Yeah.
You could in like the edit area, you could sort of edit some of the values. So you might say, oh, I need to make an adjustment, put £100 in bad debts. But if I didn't do like a reset or like a expand and collapse refresh thing, although was in my workings, it wouldn't update the P&L, the accounts. So the balances would be right, but if I looked at my profit and loss detail, I wouldn't see bad debts unless I basically clicked expand and collapse again, and then it would pop up.
Mm.
It would be very easy on that sort of Excel sheet to override a figure or hide a row. I saw some accounts last year when I was helping somebody, and I was trying to go through everything, and I thought, well, look, these don't make any sense because they don't add up. Now the balance sheet has got a balance, but if I added up all the debtors and creditors, they don't come to the balance. And I thought I bet they've used VT and they've put values in somewhere, but it's not actually it's not been made visible. And these are the sort of things I would be a little bit concerned about. Anything that ends up in Excel.
Yeah, agreed. And like, for them to be able to get to the point where they have to, or they want to submit the corporation tax return, they're going to have to do some form of accounts solution, aren't they? That's got to be part and parcel of it. So they're going to have to keep developing this, or however else they're going to go down it. But yeah, we can't have these like spaces for us to fill bits in and stuff like that. That just won't work for us. And also, hate to be picky, but this isn't a micro entity set of accounts, because we've got an income accounts statement here and we've got a balance sheet here full and all this, that, and the other. So yeah, unfortunately, this isn't from a statutory point of view, it's not correct. From a usability point of view, it's also not correct as well. So yeah, unfortunately, a bit of a work in progress, I think. And I know it's not the finished article. What this is useful for at the moment, though, and what we've been using it for, is we generate these accounts, and these form a really good way for us to compare against what our statutory accounts are. So if we ever want to kind of look at the two of them, we can kind of see, those figures go to here, those figures go to there, those figures go to here. Yeah. And that's useful. That's a really good use case for them. But we went through, didn't we, a couple of months back, where you brought in Tax Filer, I brought in Capium. They're so easy these days to move from bookkeeping to your end result. For us, we're gonna need a lot more than this to even test it, because it's from a timing point of view and everything else goes for it. Cool, awesome. What else was there on that one?
Oh, crikey! Oh yeah, I think we could probably squeeze one more in.
Awesome. Which one? What we got?
Well, the QBO network.
Brilliant. So this is more of a tin hat sort of scenario where we get to think about what the future of QuickBooks is going to be, and what comes about it. But basically, there was this really awesome article that was put out, and they're calling it the QuickBooks Business Network, and it's a new service for QuickBooks Online customers. And the whole idea of it is to simplify administration tasks. It's about making sure that if you have two QuickBooks licenses and one invoices the other, then the idea is they should talk to one another, and that information should be shared. This whole blockchain technology, this whole bringing it in. I know Xero already has that functionality, so it's definitely something that we kind of expect to see coming through. But it's definitely going to be something that I think is going to be really, really useful. And a part of me feels like at some point, maybe this is mandatory in terms of like MTD and everything else. If you think like 10 years down the line sort of idea, that's where MTD wants to be, isn't it? That's the whole point. We're kind of getting the groundwork, if you like, and we're starting to build our ways up there. So what do you think to that, Ash?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great feature, and it's like you say, with Make It Touch Digital, with bank feeds, open banking, and everybody talking to each other, and at the moment, it's QuickBooks talking to QuickBooks. Perhaps we all ought to be open and be in a nice lovey-dovey world and have QuickBooks talking to Xero and Xero talking to Sage and Sage talking to QuickBooks. So if you send it doesn't matter what your bookkeeping platform is, because everyone likes different things. But in an ideal world, if you're using any one of those and you email, it would be nice just if it just go, oh yeah, I've just gone straight into my supplier and there I'm owing, that person money without me even having to do anything. That is that's like magic.
It's dystopia, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
it is like you sort of think, because that is that would be like gold, wouldn't it? Because you literally, without even having to do any bookkeeping at all, you just open QuickBooks and you're looking at your unpaid supplier list and you go, I didn't realise I owed, Jack Smith 500 quid. And then you click on him and you think, oh yeah, he did come round and he fixed my boiler last week. So now I know, he did say he was going to email me the invoice and it's already there. And it's already got the attachment there. That would be like, if you're reaching that sort of level, I'm sorry for all the bookkeepers there. You're actually, I'm not, sort of taking your work away from you, but well, that's when, and we've been saying this since 2008 when I started, with QuickBooks, I started helping training QuickBooks, that, even then they were saying, all these accounting services, it's all going to change and it's all going to be about advisory. Yeah. It's always going to be advisory. All of the stuff that you're doing on a day-to-day basis is going to diminish. So that's why we've always saying, well, you need to look at doing different services. They are value-added services. That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's trying to sort of think of different ways how you can help your client. Yes. Have they got the best overdraft deal? Have they got the best business loan? Are they spending too much on this? So instead of just literally, putting invoices on the system, you're reviewing what's in your client's P&L and thinking, oh, well, perhaps you might be able to do something a little bit better there, or you're holding so much stock. That's why you've got an overdraft facility. You need to try to get rid of some of that. Yeah, the stuff. Yeah. But, I've sort of gone off on a tangent like I normally do. But yeah, I mean, we're talking sort of like mind-blowing, accounting. I love it.
But is it all that dystopia? I mean, the technology is pretty much there that's what Bitcoin is all about, isn't it? That everyone keeps bringing up cryptocurrency and everything else. It's the blockchain. The technology is already there. It's just a case we've got to find a way to adapt it to this sort of scenario where actually it's going to be really, really useful for everyone. So, yeah, and on your point about the fact that your business advisory work and everything else, well, if we did have this sort of technology and it was all dystopia and everything just kind of went in, well, that means that when we are doing advisory work, we've got the best possible data to work with. So we know it's right. We know it's correct. How many times have you kind of looked at someone's accounts and gone, I think I know this is right, but I'm not 100% confident this is even correct. Yeah. So, it's going to take that.
Even as we're talking, my mind's is like filling out with information. What there needs to be is like some sort of hub. In fact, maybe Zapier you perhaps could be able to do this sort of stuff with Zapier. But if you've got a file, if you've got companies that are using Xero, companies that are using Sage, companies that are using QuickBooks, and you've got connections in place, and they come in and you set up a rule and says, if I receive an email from this person, then treat that email as a invoice into that software and add that attachment. if you've got those sort of things in place, I'll need to do some investigating, because it must be. I'm sure that you could probably set that up actually. With several Zapier connections. So again, so bookkeepers could, that's where bookkeepers could actually make their money, by setting connections up for people. And not actually having to do
maintaining those connections, isn't it? It's more of you're almost a system manager, a system architect, as opposed to a bookkeeper at that point, aren't you? But you need to still know that the VAT's being treated correctly and everything else and that sort of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So so then like it's a case of doing all that reviewing. You're not had to do all of the stuff that you could do a quick review, hit reclassify when you need to, and then job was done a little bit quicker.
So you've heard it here first, folks. Ash will be in the Bahamas next month. He's got his £1 million idea off the ground. And Quickbooks Labs brought to you by the Bahamas next month. So. Fantastic. All right, and I think that's pretty much it, isn't it? I know we've got a couple of questions there, but we'll park them over for next one. Again, though, there's Charlie has put his link in for the chat that he did with Johan the other day. So again, highly recommend it. Great little chat. Both of them went into some good details and brought some great points about work papers. And with that, I think that's pretty much it, isn't it, Ash? Ash, I know we haven't spoken about it, but what's our plan for next week with you being all over the place?
So next month we should be again Star Wars Day, May the 4th. As long as you're not doing any recertification around this time, so we're going to aim for Wednesday, May the 4th. And then if we're running some courses, like apologies, we were a week late. We were both on advanced certification last week.
We were.
So we'll let you know should we need to sort of postpone for a week.
Yeah. So there is a course that day, but it's 2 till 3. So we are good to go. So that sounds good to me. And with that being the first day of recertification as well, maybe we'll all come in here all recertified as well. We can have a recertification party on that day. What do you think? Brilliant. All right, fantastic. So with that then, with that, thanks for all the questions. If you're listening via podcast, don't forget to follow us on Facebook so you can join us live on one of our future episodes. As you can remember, that episode is going to be next time on Star Wars Day, May the 4th, 4:30 time as normal, which we think is 10:30 time Central Time, but don't quote us on that one. Ash, have you got anything planned other than moving house? So that's quite a big one, isn't it? There's no content or updates to NetTrack or anything to talk about?
Not at the moment, but there's loads of stuff going on. If I don't hope to see some of you at Accountex in May, maybe at SEMA conference the following week. And if you're listening from the US, perhaps you'll see you at Scaling New Heights in June.
Absolutely amazing. Going all the way to Florida of all places. Love it. Love it.
What about you, Aaron? You got anything planned this week?
This is all about Zettel. We're going. We've kind of got a little bit of a partnership now with Zettel. So I was one of the first people in the world, actually, or in the UK, should I say, to get their new terminal, which had some barcode transactions, all this sort of stuff. Done a few videos on that one. We've got more videos to come on it. Yeah, really enjoying it. I think their EPOS solution is pretty good, and I do have a Square terminal coming as well. So I'm going to war with EPOS terminals at the moment to see which is best for small businesses. So
nice.
Yeah, it's good. It's good fun. And with that, I think that is everything. So it is a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Cheers, everybody. Hopefully we will see you next Star Wars Day as I scramble to try and find the outro. Bye for now.